Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is Laughin' Games here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1, but not Starcraft 2 cast. It's gonna be Broodwar versus Starcraft 2. That's right, more of this SC EVO mod, the mod that always ruins my introduction because I'm like, hey, it's Starcraft 2, and it's like, no, it is, but it isn't. It is going to be Spirit taking on Classic in the Broodwar versus StarCraft 2 SC EVO mod, a best of 3, a TVP, and for this match we have got Spirit in the first match going to be queuing as StarCraft 2 Terran taking on Classic's Broodwar Protoss. This should be a great match. These two are both active pro gamers that play at a very high level in their region. And yeah, we're just going to see whether Classic can potentially play the Broodwar race to counter Spirit. Spirit's StarCraft 2 Terran is pretty darn good. There's lots of Protoss in the EU region, so there's lots of Protoss in the EU region, so he's going to be well practiced. I kind of laughed for a second because Spirit is a bit of an emotional player, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him potentially get salty at Broodwar Protoss and StarCraft 2 Protoss in this series. Who knows? I jest, of course. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, before we get too far into this one, if you can go ahead and click that like button if you haven't already. This is a new StarCraft 2 channel, so go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already, as I'm putting out daily videos on this and my other channel. And so yeah, go ahead and do that. We've got a very cool command center first from Spirit. Just playing the map. 4-player maps are gone in StarCraft 2, but when they were around, going for something like a expansion first was much more common. Now we've got Classic going for a probe scout, but he does just go for a gateway into Cybercore with a Nexus on the way. So not playing as greedy as Spirit is. So I do like this choice for the opening of the series from Spirit. Meanwhile, Classic is just going into that double gate Dragoon opening that seems to be quite good for Protoss in this matchup. I don't know whether it's quite good or if it's just the best thing that's available. The Terran does have a bunker on the way, which is quite important though, as you do need that bunker in order to have Marines outrange Dragoons in order to repair it if the Protoss does get aggressive early on. And man, oh man, look at this. The Dragoon for Classic is quickly making its way across the map. It's going to be such a tight timing here for Spirit to get that Marine inside the bunker before the Dragoon shows up, because here it comes. Spirit immediately tosses that Marine inside the bunker. For now, the Marines and the Dragoons will have the same range, but once that range upgrade is done, the Dragoons will be able to bully and shoot the bunker, which is going to be quite problematic for Spirit. He does have a starport done, he's got a factory done, and a tank on the way. The tank is an absolute necessity for the Terran, so the Dragoon opening does kind of force the Terran to play a certain way in StarCraft 2 Terran versus Protoss, because you do need something with more range than the Dragoons, otherwise they just micro you to death. And so that's why Dragoons are definitely a different unit than the StarCraft 2 Stalker. Of course, they can't blink. They're a little more beefy, I'd say. The range thing, though, definitely does force a certain play style out of the Terran. Classic is up to 4 Dragoons. That range is going to be done in 10 seconds, but look at that. The tank is done for Spirit. He can siege it up just behind the bunker. Suppose you probably wanted about 1 hex behind the bunker, so it's still in range of the Dragoons if they step forward, but then also not too far back that the Protoss can't easily target, or not too far forward that the Protoss can easily target the tank down. Classic tests the waters, sees there is a siege tank, and then goes into a shuttle with a Robo Bay behind this, so Dragoon or Reavers are going to be the tech most likely, so that could definitely be a way to catch Spirit off guard. Reavers are incredibly strong. At the same time, Spirit is going for Stimpack, getting up a 2nd and 3rd racks, but then also going for a Cloaked Banshee, which I definitely like, hoping to find a weakness in the defense of Classic, and that Banshee can potentially just fly across the map towards the natural and get some damage done. Classic does have double pylons up to give himself vision of this. Meanwhile, he's attacking rocks, which are covering a Zelnaga watchtower, And yeah, that's quite cool because once you open that up, you get the reward of improved vision. The Protoss is going for a third base behind this, not facing any harassment yet. Spirit is waiting for that cloak to be done before he sends in the Banshee, although I suppose he hasn't scouted his opponent, and he's just taking a shot in the dark, and he has gone the completely wrong way. So this Banshee is like, oh, uh-oh, I have completely wasted so much time. So that's actually quite nice for Classic, not having to worry about that harassment already. And then we shall see as this Banshee does fly over, 2 Banshees now flying over the Xel'Naga Watchtower. Going to be looking for damage as soon as they can find it. But Classic, he is playing this Protoss like Starcraft 2 Protoss, get up a fast economy. Spirit scans the upper left just to make sure. Not going for an SCV scout or a Marine scout earlier on means that he does have to burn a scan as Classic comes on into the main base with a Dragoon and a Reaver in the shuttle. Spirit goes in with his Banshees, getting lots of counter damage done. There is no Observer built for Classic. I'd say he should Chrono Boost one out, but he doesn't have Chrono Boost because he's a Broodwar Protoss. Looks like the Reaver also dies in the shuttle. So while it got 6 SCVs, Classic loses 10, and his Dragoons have to come back. Fortunately, they do have that high range, and an Observer is out, so they will be able to actually kill one of the Banshees. But all in all, that is a net positive for Spirit. 14 probes for 6 SCVs. The Terran will take that trade any day of the week. He's now feeling confident enough to move out with his units as well to take that third base, which he does have turning into an orbital command. The Terran is hitting his bio stride, getting concussive shell. Marauders out will definitely help Spirit as well. And I think he may have actually killed that Dragoon of Classic as well. So Spirit, he moves forward. He's got Combat Shield done, Stim Pack done, and may just be looking for a fight before the Protoss can really get established. Losing that Reaver means that Classic doesn't have that in order to help with this defense. And as a matter of fact, he doesn't even have one done until now. The first Reaver just finishes up, but it actually takes a while to build that Scarab. So Classic loads it into the shuttle, but it's only going to have one shot. And there it goes, but now it's going to take a while for that to have another shot. Zealots do finish producing for Classic, but he loses the Prism, and I think that that's probably going to be the game lost for the Protoss. Classic is making 8 Zealots at a time, producing them out of the gateways, but Spirit has a lot of Terran and is not one to let go of a position like this, so Classic's going to make an attempt with the Zealots, but it's the same case as a StarCraft 2 Protoss trying to defend with just Zealots, and it's not going to happen. So Spirit will absolutely take game number 1 in this best of 3 because Banshees set him up for success. Classic losing the Reaver, I think, really was the biggest factor, because if the Reaver and the shuttle were still alive, he could have been dropping them as Spirit tried to advance, really slowing the Terran down. Classic, he's trying to make more Zealots to hang on, but it's just not going to happen. There's no way to deal with this much Terran bio, so GG. We will go ahead and load on into the next match. Thanks so much to everyone for tuning on in. And that's the beauty of the format that the SC EVO organizers send out the replays. We get a spoiler-free format, which is always nice as a caster. I don't know the result of this match. And look at this, Classic. Interestingly enough, he was the loser of the match, yet he decides to play Broodwar Protoss again. So that's quite cool that Classic feels more confident with Broodwar Protoss than StarCraft 2 Protoss against Spirit's Terran, because Classic, being the loser of the match, means he would have had the choice to play either race, and he says, yeah, Spirit, play your StarCraft 2 Terran, I'll play my Broodwar Protoss, which I think is a little bit risky because Spirit's quite comfortable with being aggressive as a StarCraft 2 Terran, and that makes me worried because, like, Banshees, Widow Mines, that kind of thing, it's something to deal with for the Terran, that's for sure. Now, we don't have Spirit going for a command center first, playing the map once again. I imagine Classic will just go into that Dragoon opening, which will force Spirit into a bunker, into a tank. That's something that I find quite interesting in the matchup. It's very restrictive if Protoss opens up that way for the Terran, but it's just part of the matchup. StarCraft 1 is full of dynamics like that. And so we'll see if Spirit has to go into that tank once again. He really should, there's not a lot of other options for the Terran. I think maybe you could go for like concussive shell marauders, stick them in the bunker or something, but it's just not something that seems like a better answer than just building a tank in a bunker until you get stabilized. We do have a factory play going to be coming out of the Terrans. The Spirit going for a bit of a StarCraft 2 special against Classic, a 1-1-1 with the first Reaper on the way. The factory is going to get fired up quite soon. There it is. And Classic will be up against a one-basing StarCraft 2 Terran as a Broodwar Protoss that's going for an expansion. Once the Cybercore is done, though, a Dragoon seems like a pretty good catch-all defensive unit. Maybe even better than Stalkers. Well, definitely better than Stalkers before Blink is done. Of course, once Stalkers do have Blink, they might be better than Dragoons. Higher micro potential, that kind of thing. But definitely less tanky. The Dragoons are just absolute beasts in this matchup. We have a battery going up in the mineral line of Classic, so playing it safe, just saying, okay, you haven't expanded. I'm going to invest in that battery, which will keep me safe from harassment. Maybe that means he wants to send his Dragoon right across the map. And I would actually love that decision, because what's Spirit going to have that can beat a Dragoon? The answer is nothing right now. He's got a single Reaper on the way out. This Dragoon will shoo the Reaper away. A grenade gets tossed on down, but the Dragoon wanders by it. They really look alive. They look like spiders as they walk. They're very cool. Classic doesn't move across the map with the first Dragoon. He does have two more on the way. I really would like to see him move out with these Dragoons. I think Spirit is a little bit vulnerable. No bunker at the natural. He's making two Reapers and a Hellion at the same time. So maybe gonna try and out-muscle the Protoss, but like, Dragoons are so tanky. I don't think this works the way it would against a StarCraft 2 Protoss. Like, a few Reapers and Hellions can kill a couple of Stalkers, but to kill a few Dragoons at the rate Classic's making them, I don't think so. So if Classic moves out, I'll be very happy to see that. Right now, it's 4 Dragoons against 3 Reapers and 2 Hellions. There's no chance that Spirit, I think, could potentially fight these. He may be able to get some worker kills, which I suppose is why Classic is sitting at home just waiting for this move-in. But he does have a Dragoon that just pops on out. He's got a battery in the main he can retreat to, and then he just defends. So come on, Classic, go for the attack. That's all I'll say. As Spirit does have a tank building, but it's just now. It's going to be a while till that's out. Although it does seem that Classic is just focused on defending until he can get up his third base. Spirit is really testing the waters, and he is successfully buying time by keeping Classic back at home. As, yeah, that's quite nice for the Terran, not having to panic and try and defend. There is a shuttle on the way for Classic. He does have that Robo Bay coming up next, so that is going to allow the Protoss in order to make those Reavers. Once again, those very powerful Reavers. Looks like a Hellion does go down. And then we did also have a unique building, an observatory, go up. For those of you wondering, it allows Protoss to build observers. That's something that is hard times for Protoss in Broodwar, in that they can't just make observers out of a robo. We do have Spirit getting so aggressive as Classic moves forward to target down the tank. He already killed off the Medivac, but like, Dragoons are so tanky, man. There's a shuttle done as well. Classic doesn't micro any of the Dragoons, but they are going to be able to micro these Marines and Reapers to death, I believe. And so Spirit got aggressive. He is going to target down a few probes that Classic is actually not pulling, which is quite unfortunate. Not pulling them into the fight, or not really retreating fast enough. The Reapers are still getting some work done. The Dragoons will clean them all up, so Spirit maybe gets more with that than I feel he should have. Classic does have those 4 Dragoons done, though, and has a Reaver on the way, so maybe going to be going for a bit of counter-aggression. Let's see. Gravitic Drive is on the way. That's going to improve the movement speed of the shuttles. And the Stalker, or pardon me, the Dragoons are pursuing some of the Marines. This is Spirit in full-on retreat. He does have a bunker, does have a siege tank out. However, he will lose 1 or 2 Marines and the map control that he had earlier. Fortunately, that tank being done will definitely help out Spirit. He's now got to worry about this shuttle moving into the main base. It's got a Dragoon, it's got a Reaver in. That Reaver's got lots and lots of Scarabs, so it's actually just going to be able to delete all the SCVs it wants to, except this Banshee will shoo that away. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, pardon my observing, the Banshee is doing some work. There is an observer out, though. That's going to allow these Dragoons to chase that away, so tit for tat. However, it does look like Classic gets a few more worker kills, drops the Reaver, is able to kill off some more workers, denies some more mining time, and then he goes towards the natural. There is one tank sieging up, but it's not done just yet. Classic doesn't unload on top of that or anything like that. He's just going to bounce towards the main base. This is keeping one of the Banshees at home, which is nice, but keeping that Reaver and that shuttle alive is very, very important for Classic, so he doesn't get killed by a similar push. Look at that, the Reaver unloads, immediately deletes 2 Marines. I love to see that, as that is quite painful for the Terran. I know it would be very frustrating to play against, though. But Spirit's pretty good against playing against Disruptors. I don't think Reavers are too much different. They definitely might be a little better, I'll say. Protoss just has to let those Reavers fire, whereas they don't really have to aim them like a Disruptor. The Protoss, meanwhile, is going up to a 4th base, as the Terran is contained on 3, just getting up that 3rd now, so Classic is in quite a nice economic position. We'll see if Spirit can get some work done, though, as he is waiting on Stim and +1 to do so, though. But look at that. The Reaver fires, gets 5 kills, and this thing is loaded with Scarabs, so it's able to just keep on firing. Spirit can try and react to that. A Viking is out, though, for Spirit, and it does find the shuttle, so he's going to get that at least as a reward. A very expensive reward, though, as he does lose 9 SCVs. And that is a lot of damage done to the Terran in the early game. Classic is hitting his stride, as he does have lots of charge lots being produced, +1 on the way. And of course, more Reavers on the way. 1's done, a 2nd's on the way. We'll see if he goes into a shuttle behind this, and he's already got that queued up. Meanwhile, a Templar Archives is on the way for the Protoss. I'm really seeing why Classic may be confident playing Broodwar Protoss instead of Starcraft 2 Protoss. And let's see, we did see a couple more probes die to a Banshee that hits the 3rd base. There is a cannon. It's actually not just 1 Banshee, it's 2. Spirit's going to try and target down a Reaver. They are not the highest HP things. He does get it. That was, what, 5 volleys? 4 or 5 volleys from 2 Banshees to kill a Reaver. That is actually quite an important thing to remember. He then grabs 12 probes, so incredible harassment from those 2 Banshees. I cannot speak high enough of how good killing that Reaver was. So really well done for Spirit. He's even got up a sensor tower, not wanting to be caught off guard by anything. Probably a wise decision when there is Reavers lurking about. Classic, though, does have High Templar on the way. Psystorm Research and Caldarian Amulet, which was briefly an upgrade in StarCraft 2 that gave High Templars more energy on starting. But it also increases their total energy. I'm not sure what it is in Broodwar by default. We can have a look. It's 200, so they'll actually have 250 energy, which is enough for, well, that's enough for 3 Psystorms, which makes High Templar even more lethal. Not sure they'll get to that. We do have Classic going for a massive Zealot counterattack at Spirit's base. Spirit was looking to get aggressive on the Protoss, and does seem to be sending some of his units home, as his Banshees were also helping clean this up. But they only fire so fast, and of course it's a mad dash to try and micro that correctly. Spirit may lose a tank, however it does get some decent shots off. 2 more tanks are moving forward, so he's trying to micro a push while microing this defense. There's also another Reaver in that shuttle for Classic, so Classic going for some massive harassment on the Terran. That 4th base has yet to be resumed, and the Protoss is now just focused on this defense after getting some good damage. Psystorm is done. Caldarian Amulet is producing for the Protoss. Protoss doesn't have feedback. It's actually High Templar that have hallucinations in StarCraft 1, which isn't something I've seen. That would be quite cool. But I'm not really sure if it's something that Protoss would ever research, as that's quite a late-game tech to be going for hallucinations. Let's see, the Terran is pushing on in. Spirit does have Ghosts, which will help him out against the High Templar. Looks like Classic is actually going to pull probes into this, trying to save his base, but then wishy-washiness shows itself as the Protoss goes in and out, but the Nexus was already dead. We did have a snipe go down on that High Templar. Spirit is just kiting against this Protoss force. Where's that Reaver? Looks like it died on the other side of the map, so Classic not having enough AoE to defend against this big push. That Robo is going to be unpowered, and Classic is just trying to defend with charge lots and Dragoons, which is the Protoss equivalent of Zealots and Stalkers, which is not good against late-game Terran Bio. The Protoss has got immense amounts of damage done on the other side of the map, knocking Spirit down to 46 SCVs. He's killed 45 this game, which is no joke. So the Terran isn't on an amazing economy, but he does have a much better army presently. Zealots are moving on in, trying to buffer, and Spirit does only have a portion of his army here right now, so that's actually quite nice. Nice unload on the Marauders to grab a Dragoon on his way out. Those things are not cheap. Looks like Classic is trying to get better upgrades out as he does go for 2-2. He does produce another 3 High Templar. That Caldarian Amulet being done means they should pop out Psystorm ready, I believe. Yes, they do. So that is actually a massive bonus for the Protoss. Classic will have some Psystorm ready to go. I'm not sure if Spirit has an EMP. The Protoss cannot wait, though, so he sends in his charge lots. Spirit can just kite these Zealots for days, though they do not have an upgrade lead just yet. So they all get gobbled up. Where's those High Templar? They have not come forward for Classic yet. Maybe fearing the ghosts and waiting for a shuttle or something, but instead the Protoss is just going to abandon that base, but I'm not sure he can come back from that. We do have one Psystorm getting dropped. Spirit looking to potentially land an EMP, but the Terran is just coming across the map as Classic may be regretting his decision to play Broodwar Protoss in this one, as Spirit is a very darn good StarCraft 2 player. And I think he has just finished dismantling Classic, trying to play Broodwar Protoss, showing us lots of cool strategies, but I think just underestimating the pushing power of Spirit a little bit. He made a couple of Reavers in this game, but they were mostly on the other side of the map. That one goes down. Of course, Spirit picking off that other Reaver earlier on meant he had less to deal with later, and Classic barely holds on, but hold on to what avail, as he does only have 35 probes out right now. Spirit does have that have a 4th command center building while he's mining at his 3rd. Classic doesn't even have his 3rd up. 2-2 is done for the Protoss, so I mean, like, Classic's units will be a little bit tougher. There's Ghosts, though, which is the problem, so High Templar are not the saving grace for Classic. Snipes are getting queued on up, and let's see, there is one High Templar coming out. The rest of them are caught in production, taking 30 seconds to produce. Spirit is just taking his time. One Psystorm will be present for Classic, just walking forward. There it goes. Hits one of the Ghosts and does kill it off, but there's just not enough for the Protoss. There's no way, as Spirit will clean this out. GG gets called, and Classic fought to the end, but was unable to take a map in this best of 3. So well done to Spirit. I'm curious if these two meet later in the tournament or play again, whether Classic will go for a similar strategy. Anyway, thanks so much to everyone for tuning in. If you guys enjoyed this one, click that like button, leave a comment down below, and I will see you guys next time.